got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P.
All right, hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run, and today I am with Tay. Tay, we have a little bit of a connection, but why don't you introduce yourself and tell people where you are now?
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name is Taesun Kim. I go by Tay for short. I'm currently working as a footwear designer in the performance running division at Puma.
Yeah, and we were at the running event maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you said you were like, hey, went to Maryland State College of Art.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. And it's a pretty small world. Obviously, I went to Maryland State College of Art. I think it was probably a different time, though. Like, I was there for fine arts. What were you studying?
I did architecture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not quite where you ended up?
Not really. I tell people I like design houses for feet now.
All right.
So I guess kind of adjacent.
What houses? Yeah. You know, what's weird is I don't even know if there was architecture at the school when I was there.
It's fairly new.
Okay, it is.
I mean, it's a fine arts and graphic design heavy school. So
yeah, I mean, I was there doing oil painting and stuff like that.
There you go.
That was crazy. That's awesome. So obviously, that passion for designing started transferring and stuff. Can you give me kind of like the rundown of how you ended up in footwear?
Yeah, man. Yeah, so like you said, went to MICA to do architecture, and to be a footwear designer, the ideal background is either an industrial design or fashion. And because...
Which is neither.
Neither, yeah. And, you know, me being from like Maryland and my family living there, it was a in-state, so I just ended up going to that school. And, you know, doing architecture, I think halfway through, I always had a passion for footwear. You know, in high school, I had a little shoe customization business where I paint shoes and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then I found out that footwear design was a job. So doing that, I just really looked into it, and one of my main inspirations, Tinker Hatfield, he was a architect by trade, and now he works as a legend.
I didn't know that he started off an architect.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of footwear designers who have architecture background.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, long story short, I think I did, you know, architecture classes in the daytime, you know, work my part-time job, and at night I'll just come back into the studio and just doodle shoes and create a portfolio of my own.
All right, so Tinker Hatfield, you mentioned, what's your favorite design of his?
Ooh, definitely the Air Jordan 3.
All right,
Can't
so
go
that's, do you have a few pairs of those?
I have a pair of those, yes.
All right. So it's interesting, though, because a lot of people that we talk to who end up in the running industry either come through it through a running store situation and move their way up as a tech rep and then, you know, move into one of these big brands. You kind of did it a little bit differently. How did you get, and Puma's not like a tiny company. It's not like you're starting off with a small footwear brand. That's one of the top, would you say top 4 running?
I'd say, yeah. Fairly big companies. Yeah, it's, you know, I think every designer has a dream to get into the industry. It's hard, fairly tricky to get your foot in the door, but once you're in it, you make a good connection. Actually, you know. Okay. But yeah, I got in through this program called Pencil Design Academy. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have not heard of it.
It was started by Dr. Dwayne Edwards, where he, you know, started this academy to help up-and-coming designers really help get their foot in the door. And all 4 years of college, I was just applying to footwear internships and getting denied left and right. And it wasn't until my senior year I found about this program. And you create a video submission in your design, and they just handpick you, and it's fairly limited spot, you know, because they pick designers from all around the world. And I got into the class at the time. They were doing a co-op with New Balance, so doing that, it was a 3-week intensive class. And after winning that competition,
you won it.
Yeah,
that's insane.
A humble flex. I was able to parlay that into a New Balance internship. And then from there, I was, you know, got my foot in the door. You got picked up by
Puma?
Yeah, and then now.
That's interesting. So you must know some of the people I know at both places. So yeah,
oh yeah, it's a super small, you know, industry.
Especially Boston. I don't think people understand. So, like if you're in Germany, Puma's across the street from Adidas.
Oh yeah.
And there's probably a lot of crossover there. But in Boston, New Balance, Puma. I think even, I don't know if Saucony's still there, but
Saucony's still there.
Asics is there.
Asics, Reebok.
When you're running along the water, you're seeing a lot of protos and seeing a lot of new product coming across, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, you won't pick it up unless you really are a shoe fanatic or you work in the industry. But especially when I go on work trips and I see like a group of people head to toe in one brand, I'm like, oh, they work for so-and-so.
Yeah.
So that's always fun.
I mean, do you do a lot of running yourself?
Yeah, I do. Doing a Harpoon 5 miler, this
Is
end
that
of this
Harpoon
month.
Brewery?
Harpoon Brewery.
All right, so also a drinker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly new to running. I picked it up like 3 years ago, but I think now like I'm full in it. It's just so much fun.
So curious, like New Balance has a pretty decent lifestyle side of their business. Puma is also growing their lifestyle. I'm just thinking, you mentioned Tinker, like is lifestyle where you want to be? Because right now you're in performance.
Yeah, I think starting off, I was always into streetwear and being influenced into that. I did want to go into lifestyle, but once I really got into performance, I think I just like the utilitarian and the fact that whatever I design is first and foremost an equipment. So that's what I love about designing performance running shoes.
The thing that's exciting to me about that space, and I've talked to people who've been in it and left, and they've also echoed this, that in other areas of footwear, there's not the innovation side of it. You're not trying to really tweak things to get the most out of an athlete or something like that. So all the good tech, all the, research stuff goes into the running footwear, probably basketball too. But then, it's not, you're limited. You get to work with newer products and materials, but probably the design has to stay a little more, I don't know, inside the box.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we have an innovation team. They're just in the labs cooking up blue skies, something crazy. And it's our job as, in-house inline designers to translate that to everyday product. So it's that fine balance. You want to create something cool and really out there, but at the end of the day, the majority of people, who buy the shoes are just everyday consumers who might not want like a crazy carbon plated shoe. So it's like, how do you really balance both worlds?
Well, I think what's interesting is a lot of people try to create a lifestyle shoe too, where if you really look at the best lifestyle shoes, they started off as performance shoes.
Oh yeah.
And trickled down. Now you're responsible or have a part, and maybe I'll find out how much of a part of it, in probably one of the most popular shoes, certainly one of the most popular shoes Puma's ever created, but just in the running culture, one of the most popular shoes out there, the Deviate Nitro. Which models of that have you worked on?
So I worked on the Deviate Nitro 3.
Okay, so the current one.
Yes.
All right. So before that, somebody else was doing what you're doing for it?
Yeah, so the predecessor, Deviate Nitro 2, and the one was another designer.
And you think the 3 is the best, right?
I mean, I don't know. But I think the 2 did a fantastic job just getting the shoe out into the market and getting people familiarized with Puma. And that shoe has such a good fan base. I think people found out that, our Nitro foams and especially our Puma grip is like the real deal.
Yeah.
And
it helps, I guess, designing when you have ingredients that work.
Oh, 100%. It's, it's like the foam is basically like our main engine. When I updated the third one, it's like, okay, how do we tweak the engine, keep the same engine, but, give it a new suspension? You always wanted to have it on upgrade. So, the Deviate 1 set a good foundation. The 2, really people got people familiar with the brand, and 3 was just refining and giving it a evolution rather than a revolution.
Are you working on 5 right now?
No. I mean, it's so funny because you probably heard it before. As designers, we work so far out into the calendar, so I always have to I was like, what year are we in, or like what shoe am I working on? So, but
I mean, it's got to be by the time the Deviate 3 comes out.
Yeah.
As an artist, as a designer, you got it to a place where you're like, I feel like this is pretty good. You get the samples back, you tweak some things, comes back and you're like, this is really good. How quickly does that feeling fade? And you're like, oh, I could have done this, or next time we're gonna incorporate this? Like how long do you get to enjoy your work?
I think that's one of it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, as artists and designers, we want to put our all into the shoe, but then again, there's calendars and timelines we have to abide by, to get the shoe out. But I think, when I approach it, I always just try to have what's that one key hero of the shoe, and let everything trickle down. For this one, like, our main hero was just giving it that propulsion edge with that plate. So I started with that, and then the rest, it was just more of just like a styling, and of course the whole form follows function. So I think where the shoe landed, I'm very happy with it. And but the part, every time I run in it, I'm like, I wish, like, when I was doing the blueprint, I should have changed this and this. So, but I'm fairly happy with it. I can sleep comfortably at night.
That's good. How much influence do you get? I know you have a color team, and there's probably somebody who approves the Puma swoosh that's going to go on it. But how much influence do you have on it? Like, if you were like, hey, look, I really just want a solid Puma. I don't want a, crazy looking thing. I just want a classic, solid Puma swoosh for the design. Would you be able to get that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's the Puma form strip, and and I think at Puma that the category being fairly new, and have such spectacular managers that they really open it up, and whatever good ideas that we can put in a table, you just follow up with a good storytelling, and as long as it doesn't take away from the main performance aspect, I think it's all game.
So how many people are usually involved? Like DV83, how many people are responsible for that shoe getting made?
Design-wise, it's me, and then we go through a series of design reviews where my managers and other people get look at it. But in terms of like the main direction, design is solely me, and then of course we have other people that help out, like the development.
So does that include the tooling on the midsole and everything?
Yeah, the whole shoe.
Oh wow!
Tooling, rubber, everything.
Dang.
So
that's a lot of power.
Yeah, dude, it's exciting.
You know what's surprising me? You're a young guy. For people not watching the video, I mean, you're not 30 yet, right?
Almost.
Okay. And this is like, of the shoes that Puma has, I know that we've got everything from the Fast R3, which is the pinnacle of race day.
Oh yeah.
But the majority of people, and the biggest seller, probably has to be the DV8. Yeah,
that's our franchise model.
Right. And you're a young guy getting that much responsibility. That's got to feel pretty incredible.
I mean, it feels incredible, but also it was immense pressure,
I can imagine, but man, they're handing you like, this is the shoe. Like, I would guess if you had to measure SKUs of all the shoes that Puma sells in running, DV8 just blows it away.
Yeah, I mean, DV3 Elite, both are, but yeah, DV3 is the main franchise. So.
And you also worked on one that we were a little surprised this year, that we, like, of course Megan liked it, she's Queen of Kush, but I was also like, you know what, this works, and that's the Mag Max.
Sir.
And I almost feel like it killed another shoe in the Puma line, because I'm like, why do you need both? Can you guess which one I'm talking about?
Magnify?
Yeah. I mean, you want a Max cushion, Mag Max is the way to go.
Yeah.
So that one was a little different. That's a brand new shoe.
It is a brand new silo.
So what's that like to work on a product that doesn't have like a following or a footprint?
It's when I got briefed that, they're like, we just want something max cushion, and I think unlike other brands who have a long history of predecessors that you can base off of, for like, we're going to tweak this from the previous generation. Like you said, this being so new, you start with a blank slate, blank canvas. And the main thing, was like, okay, this is our max cushion. We want stability, and we just want it to be a fun, just comfort shoe. And then from there, it's a lot of back and forth. And my product managers that I work with, shout out to Damien and Connor. Those guys really helped, and were like really helping in terms of like leading the direction for the design. As designers, you can sketch so many options, you kind of get lost in the sauce, but just working with such a robust team that helped me really funnel down and lead the shoe in the right direction.
I think it does one of the tough things that these Max cushion shoes have to deal with is it's pretty stable for something that has a stack like it does, and the upper has to fit. Like prime example of that for me was the original Prime X.
Yeah.
I couldn't run in it because the upper just didn't hold my foot over the platform.
Yeah.
So I was like almost twisting my ankle all the time in that shoe. You've done a good job on that, but it also, your foot kind of sits down into that shoe, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, you have so much foam underfoot, and if you're standing on such a high platform, you don't want your foot to pronate or supinate. So that's why the sidewalls were built a little bit higher to kind of give it that stability. But also, if you look from a top-down view, it flares out quite a bit. So those were just little fine-tuning we had to adjust a lot.
And that's a trial and error.
A lot of trial and error. In the beginning, they're like, no, we want to pump it up even more. And I was like, are you sure? They're like, yes. So
more foam.
Yeah, more foam. So you got to find out what that wild to mild is.
Well, you brought up a good point, though. Like, it's one thing to design a shoe and the way it looks, but now you're getting into understanding the biomechanics going on from the runner side of things. How much have you learned as far as, like, from that bio stuff? Like, what do you even call it? Biomechanics.
Biomechanics, yeah.
How much are you learning from designing the shoe? Like, do you go backwards and once someone tries it on, go, okay, that's not working, their ankles inflecting inwards, or do you kind of look at it holistically from top to bottom?
It's going into, you have to keep an account of like, okay, even though it is max cushion shoe and we want it to look stylistic, you have to keep it within the frame of like, okay, even though if you push it very stylistic, we want to keep the main intent of the shoe. If the heel flares too much, if the heel flares out too much, maybe it can kind of get it in the way of somebody who's not like a heel striker as much. So, but yeah, in the beginning, we have in the brief, we are given those parameters for what to keep in mind. And as I design, we get samples, and that's what wear test comes into play. So that helps out immensely. So especially that shoe, as we run in it, and we have wear testers that wear it, we'd get those beaten up shoes back, and I'd see like, oh, this part of the rubber is being worn out, or like we can shave off this part of the rubber to shave more weight. So it's a lot of back and forth and fine tuning.
Interesting. And you are definitely now running yourself, so you're also you're probably seeing like, hey, when you design something, are you like the biggest critic of your stuff?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, a lot of our team members, it helps a lot because I would say they're runners first, and we all design a product that, okay, we want to wear and we want it to perform to our likeness. But I think mostly for me personally, I think before not running and designing a shoe, it's not only you get a perception of it, but you get another layer of like the whole proprioception. Like once you start running, there's little nuances that you might not pick up on. Like, because once I started running and seeing how other people run, I kind of do this thing when I'm on the Charles River. I'd kind of follow a random runner to keep up my pace, and then I'll just kind of like stare at the shoe to see like how they land,
how it's going through the phase.
Yeah, just seeing their whole gait cycle, and I'd be like, oh, why is that person like wearing that shoe? They should be wearing this shoe, blah blah blah. But
it's like getting a personal fitting out by the Charles.
Yeah, but it trickles down and helps me immensely in my own design work.
Well, I'm curious. We all have, especially in design, you're always going to have influences, and you mentioned Tinker, but there's a lot of competition in this space, and running shoes are just blowing up more and more right now. Is there anybody that's designing that you're like, oh, that guy, I love what he's doing?
Like footwear designers?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, so many talented designers that are friends of mine and whatnot. But I mean, Seth Maxwell, you had him on the pod. Yeah. He's such a talented guy. I worked with him not directly, but at New Balance. Yeah.
I was sad when I found out he went to Arc'teryx.
I know, dude.
I was like,
Yeah. But I mean, I gotta, spread some love to my team too. I guess, my boss Thomas, like, he's such a technical designer. He worked on the DV3 Elite.
Okay.
And that shoe is, phenomenal. I run in that. So
what's interesting to me is there's a familiar look between your DV8 and the Elite.
Yeah.
Like you can tell it's like the same, like it has the same DNA. Do you think that's influenced by like when you're designing, you see what he's designing, or back and forth, and you guys, does he give you pointers, or like how does that end up kind of looking like a unified family, but still being able to be creative on your own?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Once we share each other's designs, there's kind of like a DNA that it's not as clear, but like we kind of riff off each other's design. We're like, okay, this line looks speedy, so maybe we keep that in our race day shoe, but how do we, cascade that into our everyday training? So, but yeah, we all sit in the same area. We just bounce off ideas back and forth. So we try to keep some sort of like cohesive design DNA throughout our whole line.
All right. And the Fast R3 seems to be doing what it's supposed to do.
Oh yeah, that shoe. Yeah.
It's killing it. And you're obviously sitting around with the guys. That design evolution to me has come a long way. Like first one, you're like, what is this thing? Mm-hmm. Even the last one, the second one, I was like, kind of Grinch looking. Mm-hmm. I was like, I get the idea, but the technology's not there. Like, I didn't feel like the foams were right. And then now to see the Fast R3, I'm like, okay, the concept and the materials now match.
Yeah.
How much experience or did you get to play along and see and kind of watch that evolve?
Yeah, so that shoe was designed by our innovation team in Germany. So I didn't get, I kind of saw it from the sidelines, so not too much influence, but we bounce ideas back and forth with them. So whatever they have, I'm sure Fast R3, some lines and a lot of technology will be trickled down into our inline. But that's a fun shoe. Have you ran in it yet?
Yeah, we came up at that actually when we came up and I saw you at Puma headquarters.
Oh yeah.
I had a panic attack on the thing. I just couldn't breathe through that.
You don't like the tubes, right?
I did not like that at all.
Yeah.
Like first off, I felt like hot, dry air was being pumped down my throat. Two, like I kept trying to breathe through my nose and it was pinched off, so I was like freaking out. And I was like, I think I was running like 9-minute miles on the treadmill, and my heart rate was in threshold.
Really?
Yeah, it was like ridiculous.
Like, are you here to test out the shoe? Or are they torturing you?
I got off and I actually was like, Carl was there, and I was like, hey, do you want to finish the test? Because I think I'm done.
You tagged him.
Yeah, I didn't end up finishing the test. Robbie and Meg did, and they had good results.
Nice.
It's tough to tell, you're in that environment.
Yeah.
And you are kind of like, okay, this is maybe 5 miles on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. How's the shoe going to hold up on 26? And what we saw was like, we watched the sidelines at Boston. We were in the finishing area. So I saw everybody coming across. I saw the sub 3 or Project 3 runners coming in. And then also in London, I saw a bunch of people with it. So it seemed to be a successful launch.
People are chatting about it, which is always good.
Yeah.
Get the word out in town. But I have a pair too, and I've been running in that shoe as well. But it's such a fun shoe. And
are you going to use that for the what was it, the
Harpoon 5 miler?
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went to a shakeout run last week.
Don't tell me you showed up with those at a shakeout run.
I was that guy. Because we had the Puma booth, and they were showing the Mag Max, the DV3. And then the Forever runs, and it was limited pair, and I first wore my Mag Max. And I was
so it was a trial?
Yeah, it was a
that's
a trial.
fine. I thought you were showing up to like an easy run with the car.
No, but
I do it.
I will say, once I got there, I was like, oh man,
So that was your first time running in it?
It was my second time.
And what did you think?
It's like I said, it's such a fun shoe, and I think it really shines in higher paces.
Yeah.
So once
faster paces.
Like once you get the pedal to the metal, you can really feel the plate just really ignite under your foot.
Yeah, I think it was brave for them to go with a little lip carbon plate, but it seems to be working.
Yeah. They killed it.
Yeah. All right, so we talked a little bit about some of your people. You mentioned Seth Maxwell. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody else that you would throw? Oh, and your boss.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Who else is there? Man, putting me on the spot.
How about this? How about other brands that you look at and go, ooh, like we should have done that, or or that's nice.
I will say, On has really been been on the come up.
So you like the light spray?
I went to their pop-up during Boston weekend, and that was pretty cool to see in person.
So obviously that kind of takes away from shoe design a little bit. Like there's like you can't really get too crazy with a sock shape.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think in the past couple years, just performance running, this landscape has just always constantly, all these brands are getting so competitive and we're just trying to one up each other, so it's like.
Especially in the race day shoe. I think it's interesting because you have to, I think to be legitimate in the space, you have to have a pinnacle race day shoe.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But at the same time, for companies, it's not going to be your moneymaker. It's not, it's not going to sell as many like the Deviate or, if you're another brand, one of their middle of the road shoes, those are the ones that pay the bills. But the sexiest ones are race day shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to get into that design at some point?
Yeah, I would love to. It's that design is like, you got to fine tune everything. Our elite marathoners are wearing it, and the last thing you want is like get in the way of their PB. It's like, all right, that shoe you have to really fine tune everything, just let it disappear on the foot. So I think eventually I'll be working on some more.
And that is a scary thing. So you talk about that, and maybe it may not be the elite runner running in the DVA3. I mean, they might be using it for their daily miles to gear up for a race or something. But how concerned are you, like when you see a review or you see someone write in and they're like, this shoe gave me a blister here, and this shoe tore up my Achilles with a heel counter, and I'm not saying the DVA got any of this, but like how much, like what is the criticism that bothers you? Like when we critique a shoe and we say, here's what we like and don't like about a new model, I kind of feel like that. A lot of times I think what we're saying, the designer already feels or knows.
Yeah.
And where I'm going is, what are the things that catch you off guard that make you like, damn, that hurt?
I mean, it's once you design, couple models and stuff, a lot of it, you don't really take it too personally. I think especially you guys, I'm always very thankful and take it as more constructive criticism. But maybe it's like little things of just, I think especially in like the tooling, like the sculpting, we spend hours on it,
Yeah.
So if it's a performance thing, you're like, okay, we'll upgrade it on the next one. But like if it's like a little design, it's like, oh, why did they put this line here, which doesn't really affect the performance? I was like, all right,
Yeah.
But you can't please everyone. If you try to please everyone, you'll please no one.
No, that is true. And now you guys are going into a whole different area with the high rock stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the Deviate seems to be the shoe that is the flagship high rocks shoe, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have to consider that in your design.
Yeah.
Like, how does it perform? Or are you going to create a new shoe? Because honestly, like a running shoe is made to go one direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in high rocks, you're not going in one direction. Like I'm surprised people aren't just snapping ankles all over the place. But are you going to create a shoe specifically, or is the Deviate that good that it can handle it?
I mean, for the high rocks, you see not only in Puma, but other people are wearing running shoes. It's, of course, the way it's laid out, it's like not only are you doing high intensity movements, but you do run courses in between.
Yeah.
And I think the Deviate, I'm not gonna lie, when I designed it, of course, I designed it as like your top trainer. I didn't imagine people would be doing sled pulls in it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it can hold up and people really like it, and I'm really glad, because
Do you attribute some of that to the fit of the upper and the Puma grip for like being able to do a sled pull backwards? And
I would say so. In movements like that, like lateral support and the grip is the biggest thing. And especially in running shoes, you're not doing like hard cuts like you are in those movements.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen some people doing some workouts and I'm crunching teeth, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, the shoe can hold up. And
yeah, I would think that
it's like,
you need something with a lower stack for those like side to side movements and stuff like that. But people seem to be doing it. So there's no plan right now to create a high rock specific shoe?
We'll see. I can't say too much, but no plan at the moment. But
well, if you can't say too much, it must be in discussions.
I know. Okay. But no, it's fun. I mean, it's always such a surreal moment, not only seeing my shoe in the wild, but like you said, people wearing it in high rocks. I'm like, that's such a cool moment.
Yeah. Well, athletes winning in it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So speaking of that, is there anybody who's worn your shoe that you've been like blown away? Like, oh, that's
Ooh.
cool.
I'd say one of our athletes, Ned Brockman. When the Mag Max came out, I don't know if you know about him. He ran across all of Australia to raise money for charity, and just seeing him just beat up the shoe, like blood stains on it, and like that's the best part. I'm like, okay, I don't want to see a pristine shoe. I just want to see like
It get used.
it get used exactly. So seeing him just putting miles on the shoe was cool, but not only athletes, but I think just out in the wild, just every day. I was going to the gym and like if I see somebody wearing it, I remember the first time I saw it in the wild, I went up to this girl at the gym and I was like, hey, like, are those the DV3? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
Is this a pickup line?
Oh, no.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, I think that's the best part of the job. Never gets old.
I would agree with that. Like, there was one time, a long time ago, I did a design for the USTA, and I remember seeing someone wearing the T-shirt on the Today. You know how the Today Show has like a crowd?
Oh yeah.
I saw someone in the crowd wearing it, and I was like, oh, there it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I get that feeling, but it must be like a whole different level with like, this is a 3-dimensional object that someone's, they're decided, they looked at it, they tried the other shoes on, and they decided this is what I want.
I mean, yeah, the fact that went out of the way, used their hard-earned money to buy it, and it's fun, and especially people, all my friends and family who buy it, and they're like, of course they might be a little bit more biased too, but them putting the miles in and seeing just the shoe, and putting it to use is always great.
Is mom telling all the neighbors?
It's funny. That shoe has like a plate and it's meant for running, but she's just, just grocery shopping in it. And
I mean, it's comfortable enough to wear every day.
That's what it should be.
It's what, a nylon plate?
Yeah, carbon fused. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is actually a carbon fused nylon plate. Yeah, that's right. That's interesting. Well, that's the one thing that I liked about that shoe is people debate whether you should be wearing plated shoes all the time. Look, your foot's hitting the concrete at a certain point. Whether you're barefoot, whether there's a slab of foam, there's a hard surface that your foot's going to come in contact with. It's weird because I feel like the general consumer sometimes confuse what the plate's purpose is. Yeah. And in the Deviate, in your words, how would you describe what the plate's doing for this shoe?
It's two things: propulsion and stability. It's all of this balance of like, okay, if you have a soft foam, what the plate does not only stabilize it, but it gives you that propulsive edge. So you have to really balance those three key elements.
So when you look at it holistically for a shoe and you're deciding whether you're going to put a plate in it or not put a plate in it, how much of the talk is about like, is this good for people's like Achilles or tendons or this, or is it pretty much, hey, this is going to make the foam, I'm going to be able to put a bigger stack, softer foam, but add a stiffening agent like a plate that will give it that dynamic feel.
Yeah, that all takes into account, how stiff the plate is. I think on the DV2, it was pretty stiff. So on the third one, we made it more flexible. But not only that, but like the width and how much it extends when it's sandwiched between the foam, because that could have, even small millimeters could have so much result in how the shoe feels underfoot.
The tuning.
Yeah, so all those fine tune, it's done by in the lab, and when it gets packaged into a brief and given to us, then we can bounce ideas back and forth of like, oh, okay, maybe we should fine tune this more, so.
So what's more important to you as far as feedback? The like computer simulated stuff or where you can test it and say, okay, here's the setup. What's this going to do in the real world? I'm sure you have programs that are going through. And then you have wear testers and human feedback. Do they usually line up, or is it?
That, I would say the human, you have to take into account of both, but at the end of the day, there's stuff that, the computers can't pick up that once we put on feet, that we'll know. We can design and test it on the computer. We want it to feel this way, but at the end of the day, it's like not until you put it on your foot, there's little things that you might like or dislike about it. So, yeah.
What I would think is difficult too is you're taking something and you're giving it to a factory to produce. So you might get a sample and the durometer feels perfect. You're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Get a great ride from it. You send it off. They go and they make it, whatever the first round numbers are, and it comes back and the shoe feels different.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
It could happen, time to time. Like foam it's this type of material, there can be little shift in weight, and that's why we work with developers to make sure we fine tune that and just get that down. But yeah, it's a lot of hands on deck and a lot of back and forth.
Have you ever had to do an inline change on anything?
What do you mean, like a last minute revision, or?
Well, from what we understand is like sometimes we get shoes way in advance to review.
Oh yeah.
And we'll pick up on something. I'll be like, there's a particular, I don't want to mention the brand. There was a brand though that everybody was saying, oh, the midsole's so soft. And I was like, this is not soft at all. And I asked Megan, I was like, Megan, you love Cush. What do you think? Is it soft? No, it's not soft. And I was wondering, like, after we got our batch, did they change the foam or did they change something? And this has happened to us before. We've known, because the company will tell us, they'll be like, yeah, when you guys did the review, that was an early sample. We switched up, after the first round, we had to switch, do an inline change.
Yeah.
And it's not something that changes the look of the shoe or anything like that, but it might be, everybody's complaining the durometer of the foam was too hard, so we softened it up, or, whatever.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you've run into disappointments that way.
I mean, that's part of the process. It's never smooth sailing, but also depends how late stage into the sampling is. And of course, like if it's not up to our standards and it gets in the way of the performance, then it's like, okay, we're going to push this shoe out another season because we can't release it like this. But yeah, a lot of the times the feedback we get, we're like, okay, we've gotten this, so let's take it back and do some more tweaks and just get it fine-tuned and really hit the nail on the head. So,
am I talking too much Deviate for you? Because I have another question.
No,
All
dude,
right.
Keep shooting, man.
All right.
It's fun.
So I'm looking at the Deviate now. Very popular. People like it. This is a tough spot for you because anything you do to change it is going to disappoint some people. And I think it puts you in a really hard spot. It's either, I see companies going one of two ways. We've seen slow movement on popular shoes.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like Brooks Ghost, that shoe stayed relatively the same for 10 years. And little minor tweaks here and there. They really didn't mess with it. Now it's starting to evolve. But in that thing, you have a shoe that's real popular right now. How much freedom do you feel you have in it, or is this something that now your kind of hands are tied?
I wouldn't say hands are tied completely. I think up until, this one we have so much good feedback, and it's just, like you said, just fine tuning, in terms of like, okay, maybe it can be a more democratic fit. If there
Wider?
if there were, people, and of course weight's always, you can always shave off more weight.
Everybody loves a shoe that goes down in weight. I've never gotten one and been like, damn.
It's insane. I feel like at this pace we're going, it's like, all right, do you want a shoe that weighs like less than 100 grams or something?
I mean, they're almost there.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
I know talking to one of the other brands, they were telling me about their shoe, and I think it's 126 grams. Or
it's
something
insane,
like that.
yeah.
Which I feel like that is the next frontier. Obviously, we're seeing it in the pinnacle products, and it will trickle down into like daily wear, that's my favorite thing, is seeing like super shoes have been out long enough now that we're starting to see some of those foams go into the daily trainers and stuff like that. You guys use a ATPU for most of your foams, right? And it's, at first I thought, I wasn't sure I really liked it for a lot of things, but it seems like whatever happened in the last year or two in the way that they're working with it and formulating it, it's really become, I'd almost say, better than P-bags.
Yeah, I mean, every model we update, we learn from the previous, and we're always fine tuning the foam, whether it be more bouncier and just, yeah. So every model, it's like, it's a learning from the previous, and it's like, okay, let's finesse it a little bit more and more.
So when you start designing a shoe, do you know what foam it's going to get? Or is that kind of like you design it and then they're like, we're going to use this formulation?
We're told like what type of foam, and like in the brief that you receive, like what's the stack height and who it is for. But as long as we keep it within those like formulations, and the design and aesthetics up to us.
That's cool. Is there anything, like right now I feel like you guys have a pretty solid line. Is there anything that you feel like is missing from Puma performance running that you'd like to design?
I think like, I don't know. This is kind of funky, but maybe like a running sandal.
Oh, you want to get into that?
Yeah,
all right.
I think that would be like a. I did see somewhere online that
Teva has one.
Yeah, Teva has one, or I forgot what brand it was, but they made a marathoner one. And
oh yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have. I think it's an Asian company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some white ones that.
Maybe it won't be as crazy as that, but maybe it can be like a hybrid.
It's one way to get rid of weight.
Yeah, it's because I've done like running clog before when I was at Saucony previously, and that was a fun project to work on, because that derived from this kid who won a marathon on wearing Crocs. Yeah, so I don't know. We're always like trying to push the pendulum, trying to have a little bit more fun. So
the problem with the sandal one is, one, your sock game has to be really good.
Oh yeah.
And two, like debris.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like the Teva one is a trail one.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds horrible. I already get every once in a while a rock or something in my shoe. Like the idea of that for trails is just horrible to me.
It's the trade-off, you know.
I don't know, man. They'd have to be really cool sandals.
Yeah. Think of that, or maybe what is it? Like more like rugged trail stuff. I think would be fun to work on too. So.
Like, give me an example of what you consider rugged trail.
For like a specific region, maybe it can be like for the Alps in Europe, or like a type of race. I know Hoka did one long time ago where it's just like that downhill, so the heel was protruding extremely.
Yeah, we've got that one right over there. Shelf.
And
that's it. That's the one that comes with a warning to not go down the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I always loved just like pushing what's possible and out there, and just telling people like, hey, we got to reel it back, because that's how it should be. You got to push it wild, and then have people around you that tell you got to bring it back. And so
I like that, a little free range, and then
of course it has to be in balance of like, it has to be aligned with what the brand wants, and like I said, in alignment with all the rest of the models. So
all right, so you're from Ellicott City.
Yeah.
Which, if for people listening who don't know the Maryland regions here, Ellicott City's almost like a suburb of Baltimore, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And it's close to Columbia, which is kind of like this weird fabricated town that was made in like the 80s or something like that.
I think so. I'm not too sure with the history.
Yeah, it almost to me has like a Severance feel. Columbia has a Severance feel to it.
Yeah.
But so Ellicott City is like this little charming nugget right in between those two cities, and Ellicott City floods like badly, at least.
Oh yeah, old Ellicott City.
Yeah. Oh, so you're not near old Ellicott City?
No, thankfully not near there. But yeah, when that happened, my buddy's Subaru got flown down. It's insane how often it happens.
What kind of Subaru was it?
I believe it was a BRZ. It was like a sports car.
Oh, okay. So like
he was filming it. He was just like, "Oh, there goes my car."
Yeah. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Well, probably not for him.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, the whole town, every once in a while, there's like a mudslide down the.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand how it's a historic city that floods this often. It's like you would think it would be gone.
You would think they would, learn from him, but
yeah.
I don't know.
So what was it like growing up in Maryland? And now that you're in Boston, do you miss Maryland at all?
I do. I think, yeah. I mean, every time I come back, it's, I see Natty Bow logo and the crabs and the Old Bay, the very typical stuff, but I just love it.
Is your family crab eaters?
Oh yeah, we would head down to DC, buy a bushel of crab, put some
Alright.
newspaper down, get really in there.
Alright.
That's the best part.
So you and we already discussed this. You're going to hit up. We always, whenever anybody comes in town, for me, it's almost become bigger than crabs for Baltimore. But Eki Ben,
Eki Ben is
you just
great.
can't beat it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been before.
Oh yeah, I mean, my college being so close, I would always drive down, and even before, as soon as I arrived to Maryland, before seeing my parents, I was like, should I drive straight to Eki? No, but
I mean,
I'm a good son, so I saw my mom and dad.
Well, see, I was gonna say you could be a good son by bringing a bag of Eki Ben.
Oh, that is true.
Home.
Yeah.
They probably would have appreciated that.
Yeah,
I'm picturing your mom and her DV8s, waiting for you to get home. I mean, that's pretty sick. Like your parents, I'm guessing that, do you have brothers and sisters?
I do.
All right. When you started out doing architecture, they probably had an idea of where you were going, like in their mind.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have very supportive parents, and actually my uncle and my dad used to study architecture.
Okay.
And me being like, they're like, okay, I guess we can send one of the kid to art school.
Where do the other ones go?
My sister went to NYU. My brother did like Boston College.
Okay.
So,
I guess, is he up there now?
He was living with me for a bit, but now he's back in New York.
Okay. What did they study?
My brother did information system, and I want to say my sister did like some sort of project manager. No, she did a hospitality, but she works as a project manager now.
All right, cool.
I should know this.
Is she still in New York?
Yeah, she's still in New York. But then my parents are like, okay, if sending our kid to art school and him doing architecture, I guess we have a little bit of peace of mind.
Yeah, it's not like you're like me. I was going for like fine arts.
No, that's so cool. Like
whatever.
Thomas, like halfway through, I really wanted to do like sculpture.
All right, I know. Isn't it the coolest when you go
Yeah.
and you see like when that was an interesting thing about Mike is like you get to see other disciplines, and I don't know if it's still in the train station area that like Long Hall is where the sculpture is still.
The fiber studio is there. I took a fiber class. But
Okay.
I think sculpture is still there. Yeah.
The sculpture used to be, and it was so interesting to see people carving marble.
Oh, yeah.
And getting stuff out of it that looked like human flesh and stuff like that. It's just crazy when you can see the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I thought that was funny was they used to, as jokes, make each other tombstones all the time. So
Oh my
they'd be carving marble tombstones.
Yeah, art school's fun. It's you can be weird. You won't get judged for it.
Yeah, you know what? I almost felt like you seem. I don't know if there's a compliment or not. You seem pretty normal. But when I was in art school, I felt like because I wasn't like full, like out there, that I was almost judged for not being like.
Oh, you're kind of like this in between. It's like okay,
I wasn't
get what
quite. It was weird. Like my friends who weren't at art school were like, "You're really weird."
Yeah.
And my friends at art school were like, "You're too normal."
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's fun. Each major had like their own stereotypes where the architecture kids would, wear all black, and then there's the graphic design. But every time, I go to the sculpture or the fine arts kids, I'm like, do they go here? Like, are they homeless? And then they pull out the MICA ID. And it's like, oh, we're in the same dorm.
That was the thing. Even though a lot of the kids when I was there, I mean, my uniform when I was there was Doc Martens.
Oh, classic.
Levi's and t-shirts.
Yeah.
That was just the look.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell what people were doing by like if you were in sculpture, you were covered in dust.
Exactly.
If you were painting, you
paint
clearly
everywhere.
had paint on your pants and stuff like that. And graphic design. Those were the well-dressed kids who didn't look dirty. But definitely there was this thing where like they could make a pretty good comedy movie out of it. You see somebody who looks like they're sleeping in the hall or something, and you're like, do they belong here? And you see them get up. They've got a portfolio with them.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, architecture is intense too. We would always pull all-nighters and sleeping under the desk with like a floor plan, using that as like a blanket.
Oh, wow. How long were you, was it a 4-year?
It was a 4-year, yeah.
That's pretty good, getting in and out.
Yeah, it's, I know. I mean, halfway through, it's funny. All the other kids had buildings and floor plans, but only my desk I had like shoes and lasts and like samples and shoe drawings, And my professors at the time would always come be like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you here?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just trying to graduate, get out of here. I'm just
Get my degree.
sticking through for my parents."
Yeah, that was smart. See, and I when I was there, I got scared because everybody who was going to school there, they were graduating. They were either coming back and teaching or they were working at a restaurant. And I was like, I don't know if I want that. So I ended up jumping and getting a degree at another school.
Oh, where'd you go?
I went to Taesun.
Oh, you went to Taesun?
Yeah, university.
Nice.
And was like, okay, I'll get another degree. And it turns out both of them, I mean, they worked, but in a mysterious way. Kind of like your architecture led to shoe design.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty incredible though. Like coming from, I don't think people understand. Well, I guess Maryland Institute College of Art has had some famous people come out of there. David Byrne from Talking Heads.
I think Jeff Koons went there for like a hot second.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Grace Hardigan was there. So it has spawned some people, but Maryland is small. I don't think people understand how small it is, especially even Baltimore City is not a big city. Did you live by the school while you were there?
Yeah, I stayed in the dorm. And yeah, Baltimore it's unless you really go out and explore, it is fairly small because you just stay in pockets of the city mostly. And
to be able to come from here, work your way through there, and end up at a place like Puma, that's a flex. That's a pretty big deal.
It's cool. I mean, every time I walk in and see the logo, I'm like always pinching myself. So
does Micah call you and be like, "Hey, could you come back and talk to our students?"
No, unfortunately, the architecture department isn't a thing there anymore, which is sad.
You ruined it.
I wanted to go back and I think the industrial design. They started industrial design when I was a senior, and I want to go back and just like maybe give presentations. Like, you guys can do it,
I think that would be really inspirational for the kids that are there. Like, can you imagine somebody come and be like, "Hey, look, I went here. Now I'm at Puma," I think would be like a big deal. Do you ever say Puma or whatever? How do they say
Puma.
it? How do they say it in London?
They can say Puma.
Yeah.
Puma.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so in a way, I've always it's like, oh, I wish I went to some other more fancy art school and did industrial design or fashion. But I think doing footwear on my own and just learning and just kind of like going into that unknown, it gave me, it taught me discipline, but B, it also like helped me really figure out my style. If I went to another art school where there were 10 other kids drawing shoes, I would be influenced by that. But me kind of going into it blindly, and I think there are some architecture influence in my sketching where you have to draw like quick, speedy lines, and but you still have to stay loose, and how you manipulate the lines can depict speed or whatnot. So looking back at it in hindsight, I'm like really glad I had that experience, and I think everything,
Yeah, it's pretty rad. And the music scene here is, were you involved with like any of the music scene while you were here?
Not too heavy. I was like a fairly shy kid back then.
So you're not the auto bar, like...
What bars did I go to?
Tell me you went to the Mount Royal Tavern.
Oh, Mount Royal Tavern, classic.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that place has been a hole for years.
So much fun.
I used to go to the Depot when I was at Maryland State College of Art. That was like the...
Oh, did you?
We would all go Mount Royal Tavern, then the Depot, and like it was dancing and that kind of stuff.
I think it was more fun when you were there.
I mean, listening to kids today and my kids and stuff, I think we were having more fun.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to worry. Like, I'm very thankful that there weren't like smartphones with cameras on it back when I was going to college.
Yeah.
And that people, because of that, you had to figure out fun stuff to do. So we were always doing, like, there was house parties every week. There was going to the Depot. The Depot was like the default. If a party was lame, you can go to the Depot. Because what it was just loud dance music and, tiny space.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. But I look at it now, and it, like, Maryland Institute College of Art looks like a clean school. Like, when I went there, the new building that is, and even the dorm where you lived, that wasn't there.
Was
So
the giant glass building was there, right? The
No.
brown building? It wasn't?
No.
Oh, wow.
We were, like, the main building was pretty much it building across the street from it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Marble building, and then Dolphin building, and like the little train station area and stuff like that. But and it was a little wilder over there. I don't know if it's cleaned up its act, but
maybe, I don't know. Architecture, we were just in our own little world, so.
But like we lived down that side, that it's close to Utah Street, and so we get some bleed over from the projects, and like I had stuff stolen all the time. It was crazy. It was a good time. But so I'm excited. One of the bands that we've actually had on, and he's, I think, Daniel Fang from Turnstile. I think I'm trying to remember if he was from Columbia or Ellicott City. He might have been one of the Magic Kids like you, like growing out of that space. But I don't know. Do you listen to Turnstile at all?
I don't think I heard of them. I gotta check them out.
You guys check out. They're from Baltimore,
really,
and they're amazing. And they're doing a free concert in Wyman Park, which I don't know how they're gonna do, because like just their announcement that they were gonna do a free concert got 482,000 likes. So. Wow. We may be shutting down the Baltimore area for Turnstile, but definitely check them out. But all right, enough going down memory lane. If people want to follow along with what you're doing or anything like that, what's the best way to like check in with Tay?
I mean, my Instagram, I should know my handle. I think it's Tay_Sunny. You can follow me there. My website, which I haven't updated. But it's all in my Instagram. So yeah.
All right, awesome. And thanks for coming in. I know that we tried to do this for a while. I figured that it would be more fun if you came in studio.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah,
HQ.
There's no lag. There's no anything. So
it
works out. And then obviously, like if you want to grab a hat or anything on your way out,
I'm going to have to pick up some merch.
Yeah, you can grab it. But it's been a pleasure having you on. I love seeing a Baltimore kid do well.
Thank you.
You're not just doing well, you're doing pretty amazing. So
Appreciate it.
Congrats, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Get a good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna tuck run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop. DRO.